In 2005, two brothers hit the road to chase demons and fight monsters. You know, like you do. After 15 years, they made television history and built a community of dedicated and lasting fans.
Sure did.
I'm Rob Benedict, and I played God, a.k.a. Chuck Shirley.
Yeah, you are, and yeah, you did. And I'm Richard Spade Jr., and I played the Archangel Gabriel, a.k.a. the Trickster, a.k.a. Loki. I also had the privilege of directing a bunch of episodes of the show.
Have a few more AKAs, why don't you? Jeez.
A.k.a. you're a jerk.
Though we've been involved with the series for years and multiple seasons, we never sat down and watched the entire show.
Oh, that's not true anymore. Now we're deep into it. We are going episode by episode and diving in with the folks who made it to bring you an insider's point of view and some great behind-the-scenes stories from the writers, producers, crew, and actors. And you're getting our pure, honest, unfettered reviews.
And along the road, let me tell you, we're becoming fans.
Buddy, we are super fans.
We've heard you saying it for years, and we finally get what all the excitement's about. This show holds up after all this time and deserves to be watched and rewatched.
We will be hitting on some spoilers, so consider yourself warned. And if you have any angry emails you want to send, please direct them to Babo.
Thank you for joining our journey and listening to Supernatural Then and Now. Hi, everybody. This is Rob Benedict.
Damn right it is. And this is Richard Spate Jr., or so I'd have you believe.
And we're talking about Season 4, Episode 19, Jump the Shark.
We sure are, Rob. You know, I'm glad people are listening. Is that crazy for me to say? Can I say thank you? Is that a thing we can do, Rob?
No,
Thank
you can
people
do that.
for listening.
You can do that.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. We appreciate it.
Hey, do you love stickers?
That seems off topic.
Who doesn't love stickers?
I love stickers. Yeah.
Do you like t-shirts?
I love t-shirts, dude.
Notebooks?
Well, not your stupid dumb notebook.
What's your take on tote bags?
Dude, when I have a tote and I need to put it in a bag, what do you think I reach for?
Well, then go to spnthenandnow.com before they sell out.
Oh. I sold out years ago, so obviously I can't go.
Hey, and this is Jump the Shark, so it's all about sellouts.
Listen, the good stuff's going to sell out. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
If we had a bunch of crap in there, we'd sit around and just gather dust. But we're talking about Class A t-shirts, Rob's stupid dumb notebook where you can take your own stupid dumb notes, and tote bags. Also, you got stickers, and it's all the Supernatural Then and Now gear that you know you want to sport to support the show, and just, fly your flag, man. Show them what you're listening to on the podcast.
That's right. So go to spnthenandnow.com before the sellout. And now a summary.
It's time for Rob to summarize the episode off the cuff. Robbie?
Sam and Dean get a phone call from Adam Milligan, a young man who claims...
Ring, ring. It's me, Adam Milligan.
Oh, hi, Adam. A young man who claims to be the son of John Winchester. They head to Windham, Minnesota to investigate, where no one has a Minnesotan accent. There, they meet Adam and confirm via John's journal that he was in the town in 1990. Dean doesn't buy it and believes Adam is possessed by a demon or a shapeshifter. The brothers eventually realize that Adam is telling the truth. John met Kate Milligan, Adam's mother, after he got injured on the job. Adam was born 9 months later. Dean seems to be jealous that John had a son he never mentioned to Sam and Dean. Dean doesn't like that John took Adam to baseball games. Adam tells the brothers that his mother, Kate Milligan, is now missing.
Missing?
Missing. The brothers discover that back in 1990, John was hunting something.
Yeah, you're damn right he was hunting something. And it wasn't ghosts or demons. You know what I mean? Somebody had their weapon out, wanted to fire a couple of rounds in the dark.
Yeah, I like the scene where Sam's like, hey, listen, it gets lonely. He's hunting, kill somebody.
He's no monk.
The brothers discovered that back in 1990, John was hunting something that was robbing graves, and apparently it's back. Not only is Kate missing, but so is Joe, a local bartender, and 3 bodies that have recently gone missing from the local cemetery. Dean discovers that Joe was a deputy years ago and was involved in the investigation in the missing bodies from the 90s, and that John must have worked with him on the case. While Dean is out, Sam teaches Adam a few things about hunting. Sam gets attacked by a mysterious creature. The 3 brothers realize that they're all targets, and this thing seems to be getting revenge on people associated with John Winchester and the investigation from 1990. Back at Adam's house, Sam and Dean seal it up, except for a duct entrance. Suddenly, Adam's injured mom returns. Sam believes it's the monster they are chasing. Adam has the shotgun and seems confused on what to do. Suddenly, he strikes Sam with the gun and knocks him out.
What?
Adam smiles at his, quote, mom. He's in on whatever's happening. Meanwhile, Dean is investigating a crypt and gets trapped inside. He finds the torn up bodies of Kate and Adam. Whoever has trapped Sam, they're not really people. He comes to and realizes that they're ghouls, the children of the ghoul that John killed years ago with the help of Joe. These ghouls are seeking revenge and are killing and eating those associated with killing their father. Sam is tied up. They cut him and start drinking his blood. Dean suddenly arrives. He shoots ghoul Kate's head off and then with a lamp bashes ghoul Adam's head to a pulp. In the end, the boys burn Adam's body like they would a hunter. Dean shares that he believes Sam and John are very alike.
And
scenes.
Well, fun to see Jake Abel pop up on the show finally.
What is this you're doing right now?
Oh, right. I forgot to say. I just got into it. I got so excited, but I guess I should let people know that it's time for Review.
All right, you were saying?
Nice to have Jake on the show. Nice to see him pop up.
It's great to see Jake. I really believe that he's their half brother. I mean, the body that the ghoul was using.
The diner scene was great. All the guys.
The diner
were great.
scene's awesome.
On a personal note, fun to see Jake, but also from a show note, great to see Jake and
to get it explained. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know. I knew. It was interesting to see the origin story of Adam.
Agreed. I thoroughly enjoyed the origin of the whole thing. I didn't know anything about how he came into the picture, so it was all educational for me. I actually bought it. I bought that he was a brother, so the turn, the flip on the whole thing caught me off guard. I thought it was really cool.
Me.
So I thought it was just a well done episode. I also thought Dean's reaction was honest in the way he sort of wanted to protect him from the life of hunting. And he went through like several stages of being pissed, disbelieving the guy, then being angry, and then sort of feeling bad for the kid. It was interesting to watch that whole journey, and to watch Sam's journey was
exactly. Yeah, I thought it was cool that Sam became the good older brother because he's as the youngest child, he never had that. So I really identified with that as a youngest child myself, but he really stepped into that role rather than Dean being the one that, does that. It was Sam that was showing him the ropes.
Yeah, 100%. I thought it was really, the way they talked about it, way Sam and Dean and Jared and Jensen talked about Adam.
I thought Phil Segrisha really nailed it. I thought it was a really well shot episode. There's lots of, Dean crawling through that thin duct.
Oh, I hate that stuff.
Yeah, because it makes you claustrophobic.
Yeah, man.
So I just thought
not a fan.
But I thought that Phil killed it, did well. Just I thought the way the diner scene was shot actually was really cool. It's one of the reasons it worked really well.
What specifically? What about that?
I'm at the beginning of the episode, I was like, who directed this? It's really some of the shots were just really kind of artistic. But on the diner scene, I mean, you kind of take it for granted. But on a show like this, where you have just very little time, Phil gets every angle, right? First of all.
Yeah.
You've got a whole story being told under the table. He grabs the gun, he cocks the gun, you know what I mean? Then he's got to go back and uncock it when Jake says something that justifies who he is. I don't know. I just thought that was really well done. And obviously a lot of it's told through the performance, but the way that Phil shot it also really, helped tell the
100%.
story.
Well, that's classic Phil. He's just always, as you say, so good,
Yeah, so it was interesting, unexpected. I had no idea this episode even existed. I really didn't. I didn't know that Jake came in I thought Jake came in season 5.
I knew nothing about this at all. You're right. This is one of those ones I've just never heard about, didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
And so it was all news to me, and it was all really cool, really interesting.
All right. Are you ready to give a beard?
I'm ready to give a beard. So I really, really liked it. I thought it was really gross. The bloodletting was really gross.
Yeah, and honestly, that would have killed Sam. I'm sorry, but that was very unrealistic.
Oh, dude.
He would have been dead.
The amount of blood that came gushing out of his body, he's a dead man.
He slit his wrist. I mean, they slit his wrist.
Yeah, so I had a problem with the grossness. That's just me being a nerd, but I didn't love that. And yes, I'm glad you brought that up. That also was a micro bump for me. I'm like, meh. It seems like you slice up the vein of your wrist for 6 inches.
Yeah.
And then there's still a fight ensues. You're dead. You've already bled.
Yeah, right. And then, just like putting cloth on it just makes it better. Like, thank you.
If only science really knew that. So I'm giving it, and I think this is apropos for this one. I'm giving it the Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I'm giving it a nice, solid, good-looking, stubble beard, rogue guy out on the road, might hook up with a ghoul, and make a ghoul baby.
Yeah.
So it's like it's full. It's good looking. You want to check it out and maybe take a second gander, but it's no Stapleton, in my opinion.
Yes. I'm a similar I'm gonna give it, and this is, I think he might have shaved by now, but if you follow Misha Collins on Instagram, you saw that he posted he has a beard now. It's very similar to my beard, actually. It's salt and pepper. But it's a really attractive beard, and you wouldn't know it. Who knew that Misha Collins could grow such a handsome beard? And the same is true for this episode. I was unexpected. I didn't realize it existed, but it wasn't like my favorite, but it was a good one. So
a pleasant surprise.
Yes, a pleasant surprise is what I'm saying. So I'm going to give it the
I
Misha
feel like
Collins.
Our reviews are not far off from each other.
No, they're not at all. I'm going to give it the Misha Collins of sometime around January 12th.
All right, there we go.
All right. And now, what a treat we have for you people. Jake Abel appeared in 5 episodes of Supernatural. Recently, you can see him on TV in Walker, or such films as Malignant, The Host, Percy Jackson, and Son of the South. He has so many great credits, including Dirty John, ER, Cold Case, Grey's Anatomy, so many things. And also, you may remember him from a little show called Threshold. Yeah, he was in that too, but we're going to talk about that. And here's our interview with Jake Abel. Jake, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Jake Abel is here. Richard.
Yeah, no, we've had Jake Abel, longtime friend.
Yeah.
Known him from just being on the road with the man for a decade. And now finally, see, this is the thing that Rob and I are discovering. We're going through and watching this show for the first time.
Yeah.
So even though we've known you forever, now we're going, this is why people line up to meet him.
Yeah.
Now I get it. Yeah.
Well, and I knew you, and in terms of the show, I killed you at the very, very end of the show. Spoiler alert. But you weren't.
Great.
You weren't really this.
Spoiler
you weren't this guy anymore. You were a different guy. Right?
Sweet. I was never really Adam. That's what's crazy is I was never.
Right.
Oh, so he came back, but then he was kind of like inhabited by Michael. I thought you were going to talk about Threshold. I thought you were going to talk about our old television shows that we did together.
Well, and I was going to get to that. Is that Jake and I first worked together on the show Threshold, which Jared and Richard have made fun of me about because I've mentioned it because Threshold came out the same year that Supernatural came out.
First of all, don't throw me under the bus with Jared. I've never made fun of you.
Go back.
I make fun of you for a bunch of stuff. Literally a laundry list of things. I make fun of you for virtually everything you've ever done or will do. But not Threshold. That's Jared's.
All right. That's just Jared. Sorry, I forget who's bullying me. But anyway, that was where Jake and I first.
I don't know if we actually worked together, but I know we were on that show together, and there was a whole slew of sci-fi shows that came out that same year. It was like everyone was trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
And then the 2 ding dongs pulled ahead and beat everybody. Who saw that coming?
And the 2 ding dongs. Yeah, and then got us on the show. So well, walk us through it. What was your casting process like for Supernatural?
I remember, I wasn't familiar with the show very much because I didn't think I was the demographic per se. But a friend of mine, she loved the show, and so when I told her that I was going to audition for it, she was like, "Oh my God, you have to come over. I'm going to show you some episodes just so you can get a feel for it." And I don't remember I tell the story, and people, the first thing they ask is, "What were the episodes?" I don't remember. It was so long ago. I think one of them had a clown, but I remember how funny it was. And I was surprised by how funny it was and how cool and slick it was. And so then I went from not really knowing what this thing was to being like, oh my God, this would be really cool. But like any other audition I went in, they were casting out of Warner Brothers, I believe at the time the casting office was, and an office in there. And I went in, auditioned and left, kind of like you always do. Right. Thinking I have no idea. It might have been a producer session, but I think it might have been 4 producers with the casting director kind of thing. And then I left. And then I don't know how long it was after that I ended up getting the call. Then and I booked us off I think that one audition. Yeah. Having no, obviously like any of us had no idea what it would turn into. The fact that it would take me all over the world with you guys, no idea. Not a clue.
Hmm.
Didn't know I'd be gone for 10 years and then come back at the end, you know.
Yeah.
But that's like, as fuzzy as my memory is, that's kind of like I remember those things around it, of just like a friend was a fan, went to Warner Brothers, had no idea what was coming, and then
Right.
the rest is history.
I wondered if I feel like a couple of times when I went up to Vancouver, I stayed in this. I was the episode after Richard had just been on the
Mhm.
episode, so I went in the room and there was still a folder that said Richard Spade in or something like that. Anyway, I wondered if because I'm on my first episode is the previous episode. I almost wonder if you stayed in the room I stayed in or something like
Oh,
that.
I
You know, I was
wonder. I
thinking
wonder
about
what that smell was. That
Yeah,
explains it. It was so
yeah,
familiar.
that
It
was the
was so
smell.
familiar.
Yeah.
That was the
I
smell. Yeah, that old familiar smell.
Were we?
Familiar but frightening.
Yeah, I know. Can't remember at all. Now, did it say in the breakdown or when you auditioned, did it say that it was the brother of Sam and Dean?
I believe it did. I don't think that was like kept a secret
Okay.
because it being called Jump the Shark, and it was like it was very clear that they were pulling like a stunt thing, and it was to play like their
Right.
long lost brother. And it did say
Right.
like your name has to start with J. You have to be 6 foot or above. Like there was really narrow requirements that I really
Right.
slid in under the radar on. So
Of course.
that was helpful. That
Right.
was all marketing
Right.
stuff. J3
Well,
things for the future. Just I don't know, thinking ahead.
sure.
They were to
Yeah,
future-proof the whole
in
thing.
the event
Sure,
of success,
obviously.
we would like to, names and likeness, all that stuff.
But you never know, because I think that Misha had to read like ambiguous sides or something. They were very vague because they didn't
Right.
want to give away plot points, even though this is pre-posting
Right.
things on the web. But you knew, like you knew the details.
I'm pretty
of
sure I
you
knew.
were doing.
What season did Misha come in on?
4.
Oh wow.
4.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But
But it's fun to think
fun
about.
to think about.
Now, was this before Percy Jackson?
Yeah. So right on the heels, the toes. It was right before. I was filming the episodes and then going back to my trailer and reading the script for Percy. Like I was prepping. So I was actively
wow.
prepping for Percy during the filming. And I remember being in my trailer. I think I was in the triple banger. Maybe they put me in a double. I don't remember. But I remember being in there and I had my script and I was like, I doodle on my scripts a lot. I remember like drawing Luke Castellan while I was on set for Supernatural. And so they're what's
Wow.
interesting is they're so intrinsically tied, not just because I booked them right around the same time, but because when I am out at conventions or whatever, they're like households. Those would be like the two things that hold a household up. Like the adults love Supernatural and the kids love Percy Jackson, and then they share it with each other. And there's this major cross section between these two projects. It's really quite cool. Yeah,
Interesting.
and unexpected.
Interesting, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That other actress was really good too.
Oh yeah.
Who played your
Who
mom?
played your mom? Yeah.
Or your fellow
Dee Dee
ghoul?
Pfeiffer, is that who that
I
is?
think you might be right.
I think so. And yeah, she was
That's
really
awesome.
terrific in that scene. It was a big turn. It's always fun to play that turn where you think you're one thing.
Yeah.
I did.
And I gotta say,
I didn't know it was
bet
coming.
Not
wow.
having ever seen the episode, I didn't see it coming. And I
Amazing.
bought it hook, line, and sinker. Because also knowing you as a character later in the show, when I directed you, you were Adam. So I'm like,
He's Adam.
I just thought, this is when we meet Adam. It didn't occur to me there was going to be a spin.
And that's what I mean about
It
like
really
there was like it was a number of years before I actually played Adam, because he was the ghoul, and then next time you see him, he's Michael.
Right. It's always with Adam's
right.
body,
He's a
but
vessel,
never
but yeah.
Adam's
I think
right. But he's been dead the
I
whole
think the
time.
one when Dean saves him from purgatory or something, I think that might have been Adam, but I don't know. I can't keep too many people in my head. Nobody
I don't
knows.
think anybody knows. I don't think even the writers know anymore.
It's more
just like,
impressionistic. It's meant to give
he
you a
might have been an
feeling.
archangel or a demon. Yeah, exactly.
Ahoy, Rich Spade here. Hope you're enjoying the episode, but we got to pull over for a second for some messages.
Hey, this is Richard Spate. You know what? It's 2024. It's a brand new year, and I bet you made some New Year's resolutions, and I bet one of them was to eat healthier. Well, you can get cranking on that resolution right now, my friend, with Factor. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, the prep work, the cooking fatigue. I'm getting tired just talking about it. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan, and veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you will have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart this resolution off right. Forget frantic lunch prep and rush dinner making. That stinks.
Factor's 2-minute meals, yes, I said 2 minutes, are your secret weapon in the new year. You get to fuel up fast with restaurant-quality meals all delivered right to your door. It doesn't get any easier than that. And Factor now offers loads of snack options like breakfast, smoothies, juices, snacks, and more to keep you going no matter what's on the schedule. So I know what you're asking, Rich, how do I tap into this Factor magic? You head to factormeals.com/SPNTAN50 and use code SPNTAN50 to get 50% off. That's a lot off. That's code SPNTAN50 at factormeals.com/SPNTAN50 for 50% off. Make that resolution happen now and make it happen at a discount. Fantastic food that's healthy and delicious and delivered right to my door. Now that is how you start the new year off right. Thanks for listening. Now back to the episode.
There's a great dinner scene between the three of you, the three brothers, I think.
Oh, yeah, the diner? That's great. When you first meet him, that's a good scene.
But it is a great scene with, Jensen not believing you and, having sort of the gun aimed at you under the table. And and you really convinced
That's
them.
my favorite thing is that you brought up the baseball thing. I love it when he's like, he took you to a baseball game? Like that whole reaction is great.
I'm going to be honest. I thought we were going to watch it together and comment, like DVD commentary. You're throwing some stuff at me that I just don't remember. I remember that scene. I think Jared farted on me during that scene. I'm telling you guys, I'm keeping up pretty quick here. I'm on the memory stuff here.
I'm going to tell you, you saying that Jared passed gas on you definitely rings true just from like a historical behavior.
No, he
standpoint.
called him. He called himself Farticus because he was eating a lot of meat back then. And he was really because he was huge. He was huge in those seasons. Big jacked up guy for no reason. And that made him really gassy. And I was trapped in that diner against the window, and he let one go, and he shouted, "I am Farticus."
This is the best podcast we've ever done. I'm going to tell you, this is the most revealing.
It really is.
Finally,
they really make you feel welcome. That's what stands out the most about the show is how you're so welcome into the fold of the show so quickly.
Yeah.
It's like you're like I'm glad you're familiar with me. We have this relationship. Maybe we're a bridge too far. Maybe we just
Hi.
maybe let's pretend
I'm
we're
Jared
strangers.
Padalecki. Here's what the inside of my asshole smells like. Welcome to the show.
It's still kind of like Basingstoke.
One step ahead.
Jared Padalecki.
Was there was there a special normally your guests are in this show, you meet them, they're nice, but what you're playing their half brother, was there any sort of chemistry? Like, did you get together before, or did you meet them first day on set?
To my knowledge, my memory, first day on set. No, there's no time. There's no time for pre-meet.
Sure.
We flew up to Vancouver, do wardrobe, put on your blank jacket and your bland jeans, and you get out there and you go kick some ass. But I do remember, and they've always been this way, and that I think that's why the show has ran so long as it did, is they were so welcoming. And then in later years I watched them be welcoming to other new people, and and that's rare. It's especially when a show's been on for a number of years and has found success. You find this in movies too. Like you show up to do a day play, or like you're doing a funny scene or whatever, and you're doing like the gag in a scene. And like I did this movie Strange Wilderness, and it was an Adam Sandler produced movie with Steve Zahn and all of Adam Sandler's buddies and Jonah Hill, like the funniest dudes in town. And I had to go in for a day, and they'd already been making this movie together. Justin Long was in this film. And like the mistake is to try to be funny and be buddies, because everyone's already been working together. And that's really, really tough. And everyone was very, very nice on that movie, but like they got that shorthand, they're going, and it's hard sometimes when you come in, you just got to kind of watch and enjoy the show. And Jared and Jensen, I felt like immediately sort of understood, like, hey, like we're moving fast, we're making something big here. And they welcomed me in and made me feel right at home. And it was fun,
That's awesome.
Really, really cool. Because and it's like,
and that's consistent. That's what they always say about these things.
And it makes me like they've been good examples of like how to lead something in that way. And it's like, when you're in the number one position, like there's a way that you can help people along to make the show better, or you can shut them out. And I think I was lucky to early on have examples of the good side of it.
Yeah.
All right, let's stop saying nice things about them. Can we start disparaging them again? Because
Oh, Farticus is pretty
Yeah.
solid.
And you got to fight Dean, so that was good. You got to beat up on him.
yeah, that was just I just did that. They just happened to have the cameras rolling.
Oh wow. Oh cool.
Right. Yeah. That felt like
That was the
it wasn't the
improv,
knives.
actually. Yeah,
It was
that
the
was the
beating
fight.
of Dean.
Was there choreography? Do you remember? Were they like, all right, you're gonna?
Oh, I mean, it had to be. Yeah, I don't think it's extensive. I think it's kind of like you show up on the day and they're like, "Hey, we're going to choreograph a fight scene today." Kind of like,
Yeah.
I've watched you do that, Rich. To the actors, hey, you guys got to fight. Go learn a fight scene.
Oh wow. This is a window in.
Yeah.
To the Rich's directing techniques.
Yeah, and Walker, he just
No, Richard's directing technique was this fight ain't working. We're going to come back to it. Yeah. And we came back to it and we got it.
And it worked.
But how far in advance did you guys work on that? Like, do you remember, was it days earlier you were doing choreography?
Not a clue. Like I said, I think it was probably just like a show up and we're going to throw some punches, right? It was probably like a punchy.
Oh, really? I thought you were
punch and
saying
shove.
some shows do that. This was this episode. Okay, got it.
Yeah. I think that happens. It depends what it is, but I think television doesn't have time usually to like do a lot of stunt rehearsal. And so they expect you to kind of come in and know how to throw a punch and punch and shove. Old punch and shove.
Certainly on Supernatural, it was that way. You sort of learn that day.
Yeah.
Now, how did you like working with Phil? I mean, this is a Sagrisha special. This episode,
the legend.
So he's I was actually thinking about this before coming on the show, and like Phil was another one of those people who made me feel so welcome so quickly. Like I bonded with Phil to the point where when we were back in LA, he would invite me out. We would go see shows together because he loves like rockabilly stuff. And he was working with this artist Petunia,
right?
Who he ended up taking me when we were in Vancouver. We went and saw Petunia play live, and then I think we saw him again.
Petunia and the Vipers,
Petunia and the Vipers, yeah. And we just bonded so quickly, and that was another person who made me feel really welcome into this world. And I still get like his emails for he does like get-togethers for music and stuff. And,
but he just had one.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I haven't seen him or spoken to him in a number of years. But he remains one of my favorite all-time favorites.
Yeah, Phil's great. He's as a director and as a person, and he's for as almost intimidating as he can come off sometimes. He's such a champion of actors.
Yeah,
and he really is an actor's director, and he does have favorites. Like he'll I could see that. He really liked what you did, and he liked directing you, and he liked he's been so kind to me and Rich through the years too.
Because he's doing The Boys as well, right? He was doing some Boys episodes. Did he do any of yours?
No, but he did some. Well, he actually did some second unit stuff that I was in.
Yeah, he's the producing director of that show.
So he's
full time there.
I definitely we would hang out on the weekends. We'd go out and hit the town.
Yeah,
he's great. He's great fun because like you said, he loves music. And
he'll take you places where they're doing like Lindy hopping and jitterbug or ladies whatever like messed up like He finds the coolest spots I would never find on my own.
Yeah. Phil's he's got a nose for that stuff for sure. Now, that's his
you
jam.
have a memory. He like Richard Speight as a director. He is known for doing lots of takes and lots of different angles. And I noticed it in this episode. I was actually really impressed. I had to go back, go like, who's directing this? And it was Phil. And I was like, I just thought some of the shots were really well done and well conceived. And he does a lot of sort of inserts, and he'll do. Do you have a memory of that, like him?
Not particularly. I think it felt sort of normal to me at that point. I think because I had done like mostly film, and I think that's more of a filmic approach too. I don't think you're really granted that, and I think that I think the show, those early years of the show, from what I remember, were really precise. I mean, like lighting took a while. There was a story like I wasn't hitting my mark exactly right, and this is where I learned quickly about the show is I thought I was on my mark, and I was a little shy of it. And Jensen reached out, just grabbed my shoulder, and then just gently pulled me forward and said, "Feel that?" And my key light was coming through a window, and so he just nudged me a little forward and just said, "Feel that?" And I went, "Got it." And that was the moment I realized, like, wow, this show's really specific and accurate. And I love to work that way. I love to work in that sort of that specificity because the final image is always worth it. So if you can find a way to continue to do your job and perform honestly while another part of your brain is somehow hitting marks and hitting key lights, the finished product is like, it looks like it's what you're saying. It looks like something that's like more film, but put on TV. And I don't think I just don't think you're afforded the time that it takes to do that very often. And, it's just there's time constraints, and it takes a long time to light beautifully. It really, really does.
Yep.
But it worked for me. That kind of style really, really works for me.
Yeah. And Jared and Jensen were such team players that way.
Yeah.
Some actors might go to the director and be like, "This kid's not hitting his mark," or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so cool of him to be like, "Yeah, just nudge it forward."
It was a very gentle way, and it was also what was great about it. It was allowing me to make the discovery.
Yeah.
Right. Without like being, it was a show don't tell. It was just like, you feel that, there you go.
Yep.
And we expect as soon as I think he knew, like, we had done some scenes at that point. He knew that I wasn't green, so he could do that, and it would make sense. So but that was just another example of kind of how I was treated and welcomed in.
Yeah.
So back to the episode. So there's this turn. You're a bad dude. Well, yeah, you're possessed by a bad dude. And then we get to see Adam's dead body. Was that was you, right?
That's
that actually you?
Good dibs on the band name, by the way. Adam's Dead Body.
Adam's Dead Body.
That's like a 2005 kind of like emo, like
jam band.
Yeah, Adam's Dead Body. Sorry, what was the question?
Was that you, or was that a cast?
Okay, so
that was you, right?
So I do actually remember that when they opened the casket, I believe. That was so cool, because I love, and people might know that, listeners might know this about me, I love horror films with practical effects. I all but made one beneath you, Rob.
Yes, you did.
Taking quarantine.
So
I'm a sucker for practical effects, and this was the mother of all practical effects. So they built this casket, and then the effects department built like this eaten, burned out like carcass of my body, and there was a false bottom underneath it. So I crawled into like the top of the casket, and it's like a magic trick. So my body, they only did makeup for me from like neckline up, right? So that's what so that's just that. And then I lay down underneath in this false bottom. And when I put my head up against it, it looks like my neck is attaching to this carcass. And it was a trip to, like, you look down and you just see it. Even so, like, me, from my point of view, looks like my dead body.
Wow.
and then they say,
that's weird.
Then they say, all right, we're going to close the lid now. And then they close the lid of the casket. And I'm there
my God.
In pitch dark, with my brain trying to tell me, like, that's not really your body. That's not really your body. But it was like, oh my God, it's such a cool effect.
Wait, so what's the angle of your actual body? Are you sitting?
I was reclined. I had to be reclined. I don't know if I was fully lied underneath, but I was definitely reclined so I could get the same like angle. So it looked like I was lying flat, and then however they pieced some extra pieces together to make it look like it was connected, but just angled sort of like in a recliner almost.
Wow, man, that's wild.
It looks legit.
Awesome.
Was it a cast of your actual body, or they just got a body?
Yeah, I don't think they had to life cast me just because it was so chewed up and gnarled. I've done full body casts before, and I don't think I had to do one for that one. I may have done. I think my first life cast might have been for Percy, so I don't think I even did one for them. Okay. And it's hard to remember.
That's a trip, though. That's cool, though. You didn't have to hold your breath. My biggest fear when I play someone who's died is that I can't breathe. You know what I mean? Because I hate to see someone's like chest
blinking.
You don't have to worry about it.
I cannot. I'm getting worse. I'm getting worse as I'm aging at playing dead. I have to blink. Yeah. Have to blink. And then I have to blink more the more I'm trying to play dead. I'll hold my breath. Like, that's not what I'm so worried about. It's the blinking that my eyes instantly burn. I worked with this guy, Titus Welliver, who plays Bosch right now.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Robert Titus.
So he had to play dead in the movie we did. And I, like, in the scene was watching him like, how are you doing this? It was so impressive. He was just like, all right, blinking, I don't need to blink, and he just didn't. It was amazing. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen, and I was just like, wow, I can't do that. I don't know why. I'll put eye drops in. I hate it. I hate playing dead for that reason. But I do that too. If I watch movies and someone's like dead in the background, I stop watching the movie and I look at that person's belly, look at that diaphragm.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do here?
Totally.
Yeah. That's a skill set, man.
Yeah.
That is a skill set.
Yeah. It makes me feel awkward for the actor.
Yeah.
But I'm looking. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
What are you gonna do? Yeah.
And so, did you have any idea that you'd be back? Any clue at all you'd be back on the show?
No, and it's like I'm not hesitant to tell the story because I've told it publicly. I've told it all year at conventions. I learned why there was a gap. So I was at a convention years ago. If you left, I don't forget how many, and Cliffy, the boy's bodyguard, we were hanging out backstage, and he was like, "Why don't you come back to the show, man? You should come back to the show." And I said, "Cliff, I'd love to. Like, are you kidding me? Like, if they'd call me, I would." He goes, "They have. And they've tried, and you need to tell your agents to stop asking for so much money because they can't afford it." And I went, "What? What are you talking about?" He was like, "Yeah, no, they've wanted to, but like their team's asking for too much money." I said, this is the first I'm hearing about this. I had no idea, and at the time, I was no longer with who had done that. So that's my biggest fear in this industry, mostly, is someone making, because this happens a lot, someone making decisions for you that reflect poorly on you, and you can have no idea.
Yeah. Wow.
And so that was.
Did you call your ex-agent and go, screw you, or what'd you do?
So I just called my current agent and said, "Hey, this is what's happened. This is what I found out. I don't expect them," because it's hard to bring someone onto a show, right? Especially because like, these shows they're sort of plotted out for that whole season. It takes time to come up with an arc that works. Because there was a number of years where they said, like, I knew that they couldn't think of an arc that worked. They were trying to find, like, someone had pitched a Natural Born Killers episode with Adam. I don't even know what that means, but that would have been amazing. It was like a road episode with Adam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, how cool would that have been? But so I just called and said, "This is what happened. Would you please do me a favor, call the producers and just let them know that I didn't know that this was happening, that this wasn't brought to my attention. It wasn't a decision that I was even given the chance to make, just to clear my name, like just to make good, because it's not worth it for someone out there to think that like that I wouldn't go be a part of this for that reason." And so they did, and it still took a couple of years, because like I said, it's like you can't just bring a character back. There's got to be a reason, and it has to make sense. And even after all of that, I still like how it happened, because I think it's funny. It's kind of become this canon thing that Adam was forgotten, you know, and then I think it was worth it because they brought him back with there was such weight to what they came up with, bringing him back with Michael. And I think like it was. I wouldn't have wanted to come back for something that was just sort of like, I don't know, like there was something to it. And like Rich, when you know, we had first, I remember I got the script and was like, okay, I'm gonna be playing Adam and Michael, and I started coming up with this idea, and we jumped on the phone real quick, and I said, "Hey, this is really cool. I want to try to switch in between them in performance. And like if we can avoid doing any special effects in my eyes to show a difference, like wouldn't that be cool?" And you were totally on board. You were like, "Just give it a shot." And it felt like, because I saw they had this 10-year relationship, and that was like there was so much to mine from that. Like there was a relationship built there. There was a codependency. They have like shorthand with each other, and that to me was like far more interesting than anything else that may have come sooner. And I think made for a bittersweet ending. Not that we're at those episodes yet of the podcast, but
you come back in season 5 as well, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it was after that. So I did that whole Michael stuff going into the pit,
right?
And then you know,
then the 10 years go by.
And then 10 years go by. I do a couple of studio films.
Cool.
And suddenly,
really cool.
you gotta pay the big bucks. And not tell me about it.
But you didn't know after this episode that you'd be back in season 5. That was a.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I did actually. I don't think I think it was when they labeled it as like possible recur. You know what I mean? Like they're not sure.
Interesting.
Sure, it could maybe be, but like again, if I
because as a half brother, you'd think that maybe there's life there.
Yeah, because also too, it's like the reason they called it Jump the Shark was to be like they wanted to do a fun episode where this big discovery, and then it's like we're kidding, guys. Psych, like we're not gonna do that. It's about two brothers. And so, because Jump the Shark comes from Happy Days, when the later seasons, this is for the listener, a little trivia. In the later seasons of Happy Days, they put the Fonz on a pair of water skis, and he jumps over a shark, literally jumps on a ramp over a shark.
Yeah.
And that was a part where it was like, okay, the show's lost its way. They're doing insane things to get viewers.
Exactly.
And
They've
which is such
run out of ideas.
yeah. So let's do a stunt to get viewers to come back. And so it's such a.
Well, you know what's funny
clever...
is that you're right about that Fonzie thing. And at the time, like, they jumped the shark. But weirdly, by having Fonzie jump the shark, they further cemented their place in TV history because now the phrase "jump the shark" is literally the global term for like that's a bridge too far, man.
Too far.
They jumped the shark. People, it's like saying, "Oh, you drank the Kool-Aid." Very few people know that's from the Jim Jones Guyana tragedy.
Right.
You know, like it's you forget
both equal tragedies.
You forget the origin of it. It just becomes a phrase.
Both tragedies.
Both tragedies. The Fonz and both tragedies.
Yeah.
But such a clever title for an episode, and to do a stunt like that. And so I think that's kind of like, they were like, we could just do this as a one and done, and that was fun, but they saw potential for something more, and I think that was cool.
Listen, you've done a lot of conventions as part of your, tenure on Supernatural all over the world. Do you have a favorite story? Do you have a favorite moment?
Oh, man.
Or something that stands out?
I remember the first convention I went to. That was like height of it all. And it was in Vancouver. And it was like, I think I'd filmed my first episode. I don't even think it had aired yet. And I kind of became aware at that point of how popular the show was and how much fans loved the boys, Jared and Jensen. And then my carefree sort of like, I'm just doing this fun show attitude turned into terror. Because I was like, oh my God, like, I think it's dawned upon me of like, I am playing the third brother. And then I agreed to go do this convention. And those conventions were packed. That Vancouver one was, I had no concept. No concept. And then I remember being like terrified because then, these conventions, they just expect you to go on stage by yourself and razzle dazzle them. That's insane, by the way. Like, you really get thrown to the fire at these conventions if there's no moderator. And ultimately it's like, I think it served us all. I think now, like, all of us you've been in the band for years, but like, I go on stage now and if I don't use the moderator, I start to feel bad because it's like, I've been trained by this.
No, it's good. It's a great lesson too. It's a great skill set to have.
We've seen some good people go down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've lost some good men on this road.
Yeah.
And to be like, you got to go help him. I can't help him now. It's too late. We lost him. We're moving on without him. On to the next town. We'll raise a glass in his memory, but he won't be with us.
Real Band of Brothers type feel.
Yeah.
Very.
So very, very scared. And then I went out on stage, and much like the welcome to the set was the welcome to the fandom at that convention. The room was packed. Everyone, like, I had such a fun time up there. It's a blur, but I remember being up there, and there's pictures of me up there and just like cheesing because it was so much fun, and I was so hungover. It was great. It was a different time in my life.
Yeah. So it's very familiar. Very familiar.
Yeah. Well, look, man, it's great having you on this podcast. We're obviously going to have you again because you come up again, and we're going to, be discussing more.
Talk to my agent. They'll give you a price.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, exactly. So you might,
exactly.
If we can afford you.
We'll call your agent. They'll be like, no, he's not going to come. No. And then I'm going to throw this curveball at you. Maybe watch the episode next time. Maybe give it an eyeball on it so you know what the hell we're talking about.
I didn't know that was a prerequisite, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought I could just wing it. I think I did a pretty good job.
You thought this is a DVD commentary.
Like you do on stage at a con.
I was like, we're going to watch it. We're going to have a few yucks. And I'll talk about the scene.
Hey, we did have a few yucks.
We did have the yucks.
We had the yucks. I brought the yucks, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, now I know. Now I know, and now I'm not so sure I'll be back. Thanks, guys.
Now you don't want to come back.
There's homework. There's homework for your podcast? I don't know.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to have you on, buddy. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for doing it, man.
Pleasure.
Great having you here.
Good to see you guys as always.
This is Jared Padalecki stopping in to say hi and let you know that we've got to take a quick break. Thank you for supporting Supernatural then and now. And now, back to the show.
That interview was stupendous.
Stupendous. It was great. Great talking to Jake, getting his origin story, which is always one of my favorite things to get here from anybody. But also, we've known him so long.
It was Jake.
To see him in the show and figure out his role in the big picture, and just a good dude.
Oh man, I was really looking forward to that too, and he didn't disappoint. It's just so nice.
He did not disappoint.
So comfortable to be with Jake. Loved having him.
We'll have him
what
again,
a great actor too. You've given him lots of props when you directed him in season 15. He's a fine actor.
Worked with him on Supernatural, directed him in Walker. Thoroughly enjoy him as an actor. He's great.
I remember you specifically calling me and saying Jake's really nailing it in this Supernatural episode because he was doing.
He had a lot to do, and I'm sure we'll have him on when we get to that one. But him playing two characters in an episode later in the seasons of Supernatural was very impressive. Yeah, very, very cool. And now, it's time for something
that
we have aptly named
mythology. All right, ghouls are generally defined as monsters that feed on dead human flesh and are often associated with robbing graves. Now, I didn't know this.
Not to be confused with gulls, which are females, noticed by Sebastian Roche.
Oh, look, there's a girl.
The gulls over there.
Look at that girl.
The gull? Is that a ghoul or a gull? Can a gull be a ghoul? Can a ghoul be a gull?
I didn't know this, by the way. I didn't know, to me, ghosts and ghouls. I didn't know that ghouls were an actual thing.
I didn't either. And I will say that was another reason why this got downgraded from Stapleton to not a Stapleton, because somehow the ghoul term just seemed like less. It was like, oh no, it's Casper.
Yeah.
Somehow it just took a little bit of the scare out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And when Sam says to Dean, when he's like, Dean, they're ghouls. It's like that. What, I don't even know.
It kind of made me chuckle every time.
Yeah.
Ghouls? Where? No, ghouls, Sebastian. Ghouls. Oh, I thought you said ghouls.
Yeah, really. It feels like a made up term for Halloween. Where did the concept originate, Rich?
Well, I'm pretty sure it, if memory serves, the Middle East. And I think, I remember this from my Arabic studies, the Arabic ghoul may stem from Galu, the name of an Akkadian demon in ancient Mesopotamian mythology.
Oh, wow.
Arabic scholars of the 10th century, and Robbie, I don't have to tell you this, compiled folk tales involving ghouls, many of which found their way into the collection The 1001 Nights, that book you keep by your bedside.
Of course.
Translations of this book traveled to Europe in the 18th century, which I'm pretty sure is when you picked it up. I think you were an 8th grader, along with the concept of the ghouls.
Concept of the Ghouls. Isn't that the name of your album? Concept of the Ghouls?
I was going to say the same thing. We went for the same joke. Love that band, Concept of the Ghouls.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other made-up Halloween words that I'm trying to think of. But anyway, ghouls. And don't forget the H.
The huh is silent. Ghouls. You know what?
Yeah.
That's a fun fact you just shared with me about the H being silent, which means we should probably get into fun facts. Fun facts. Fun facts. Fun facts.
The title of the episode is a reference to the infamous Happy Days episode, as we were talking about. It was the one where Fonz jumped over a shark during a water ski jump while wearing his signature leather jacket. This episode was considered a turning point for the show when it passed its peak.
I disagree. I always feel like the show took a nosedive as soon as Richie grew a mustache. But that's me. I was like, we could talk about jumping the shark, or we could talk about, oh no, man, you've Richie mustache.
When did Richie grow a mustache?
I don't know, man. Some point of the show, he grew up and grew.
Did he? I forgot.
Nobody liked it.
Sounds vaguely familiar when Richie had a. Of course, we're talking about Richie, the lead character on Happy Days, not Richie as in the co-host of this show.
No, Richie played by Ron Howard.
Now, the rejected titles of this episode included When Leo Joined Growing Pains or the Raven Simone episode.
I know why they rejected the When Leo Joined Growing Pains, because obviously when the Fonz jumped the shark, it really took Happy Days down from being like a great show to maybe not so great. And when Leo joined Growing Pains was already a terrible show. So it didn't really adversely affect the arc of that.
You always talk about how you have growing pains.
I have Leo's groin. And I have Leo's groin pain. That's why Leo and I have always gotten along. We share the very similar lower extremity discomfort.
Groin pain.
Groin pains. This episode had different titles internationally. In Brazil, it was called The Brother. In Germany, the title is Grave Robber. In Poland, it's called Exaggeration. And in Japan, it's called The Happy Fun Boat That Kills You.
And in Tennessee, it's called, Hey, Rich ain't in that episode.
Yeah, it's called Never Mind. Change channels.
Well, hey, which is another episode you're in. Change channels.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's
in
right.
Germany, it's called Grave Robber. Like, it's just funny. It's so on the nose. It's very on the nose. In Poland, it's called Exaggeration. That's funny. When Sam and Dean enter the diner, a poster for the Fonzarelli Water Skiing Championship can be seen on the wall. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
That's cool. Yeah. I did not notice that. I wonder if that's completely legal or if they can get sued into the Stone Age.
I wonder.
Who knows? The diner is named Cousin Oliver, of course, the terrible character that was introduced in the final season of the Brady Bunch. Once all the kids had grown, the show was trying to maintain its reputation for having cute young children. It failed. No one liked Oliver. It killed the show, and there's much resentment throughout the industry and society today.
Is there? I mean, people aren't really talking about
Probably.
Brady Bunch that much anymore, I don't think.
Ask Oliver.
Poor
He's
Oliver.
not happy.
Well,
What's the actor's name who played Oliver?
Can't remember.
Exactly my point. Rest my case.
Oh, I feel like that was around the same time as Fonzie jumped the shark.
I think Oliver was earlier.
Was it? When Dean goes into the tomb, it is shown to be night, but later, through a window behind him, you see that it's daytime outside.
Oh, man. Now I hate the episode.
I thought he was just in there for a long time.
A display card in the boys' hotel room when Adam comes to see them advertises happy hour at the sunny Buono Lounge and features a picture of a mustached Kim Manners. Kim Manners, of course, the legendary producing director of Supernatural for its first few years until his untimely death.
Wow. That's cool. Those are some good fun facts. Good job.
They're good fun facts.
I didn't know those things.
Yeah.
Well, this is good. This is good. It was a solid Supernatural episode.
Yeah. Solid interview with Jake. Solid fun facts. Solid mythology. Solid all around.
And like I mentioned, Dee Dee Pfeiffer was the name of the actress, played his mom. I thought she was really good. I looked her up because I was like, oh, she's a good actress.
She did a great job.
And a great, fun script by Daniel Laughlin and Andrew Dabb, and great direction.
Yeah, the whole thing was great. It was a solid episode. And of course, Phil doing what Phil does so well.
And Richard, you did this well as well.
Thank you, Robert. I also thought you brought, I'm not going to say your A game, but you brought a game. Some kind of game. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time for 420 when more crap happens and we talk about it.
Oh, and I get to smoke some weed because it's 420. It's a 420 episode.
Ooh, Robbie.
No, ixnay on the weed smoke. All right, everyone. Until then, stay well. See you soon. This episode of Supernatural features Jared Padalecki as Sam Winchester and Jensen Ackles as Dean Winchester.
Guest stars included Jake Abel, Dee Dee Pfeiffer, Heather Feenery, and Michael Patone.
Jump the Shark was written by Daniel Laughlin and Andrew Dabb and directed by Phil Segresha.
Editing by Tom McQuaid. Music by Jake Greska.
Executive produced by Eric Kripke and Robert Singer.
The original broadcast of this episode featured the following songs: Reaching Higher by Nathan Williams, A Little Bitty Tear by Burl Ives.
The episode originally aired on April 23rd, 2009.
This episode of Supernatural Then and Now was hosted and executive produced by Richard Speight Jr. and Rob Benedict.
Produced by Stephen Hine, written by Stephen Hine and Haida Holscher.
And edited and associate produced by Trey Booty.
What's up?
Music provided by Tim Wynn.
The episode was recorded with the help of Sonic Fuel Studios.
This podcast is from Story Mill Media.
Follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at SPN Then and Now.
Become a member of the podcast at www.patreon.com/SPN Then and Now.
Now, in the episode, did you improvise the thing with the knives with Jared when he's tied to the table? When you slam the knife down?
No.
I've written in my notes here, improvising with knives while Jared is tied.
Who told
to
you
the
that?
table.
I think it may have been Steve having a dream moment. He would like to someday improvise with knives.
Maybe it was me putting the blood finger in my mouth. That happened. That was the thing that happened. Maybe it was that.
Yeah.
That seems like something I would make him up. I would do. Finger Jared's blood hole and put it in my mouth. That's pure
great,
improvisation.
Man. Who wouldn't want to do that?
That's all the time we have today, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Because I love grammatical errors, I'm going to read this as written. Not only is Kate missing, but so is Joe, a local bartender. Three bodies have recently gone missing from the local cemetery.
Yeah, that's 6 people, I think.
Story Mill Media.